Hey, my name's Dan, and I'm the founder of Organic Music. I'm really excited to introduce you to my good friend, Howie Villareal. He's a session drummer and has had a great and exciting career that I will get some insight into today. And yeah, thanks for coming out, Howie.
It's a pleasure, Dan.
Yes. Thanks for, taking some time out of your day to drop by. And yeah, I have a couple questions laid out to give us some structure for the interview. And yeah, can you give us some insight into your career? Maybe in the path that brought you there, Howie?
Yes, of course. I would love to share it with you, Dan.
Cool.
First, it was colorful. It started from my younger age, playing music within the family, and it went to playing with people in the neighborhood, and it goes to being called for joining a band, and later on I was in a band, and people wanted me to play for their band, and also recording artists, movies, soundtrack, a lot of different things, and then travel from places to places, gig, club, tour, so forth.
Yeah. And I remember we were chatting before a little bit about your career, and you started playing drums on stage at maybe like 10 years old, you were saying? Something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so that must have been quite crazy growing up, getting all the gigs even as a young kid. And you were playing with your family, I think you mentioned, and then sort of grew from there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then later on, you were playing in, I think you mentioned like Japan, some where are all the places and countries you played out?
Southeast Asia, China, Canada. What else? The U.S., Indonesia, Middle East, of course. Yes, almost forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Middle East, yes.
Cool. And so yeah, how did you hustle when you were just starting out your career? And maybe can you share a little bit about that for a lot of musicians who are maybe just starting out, finding gigs, finding great groups to play with, and just sharing their music with a larger audience. How did your career maybe start, and how did that work as a session drummer?
During my time, then it was tough. Trying to get the song is one of the toughest, because we don't have digital players and materials that we could rely on right away, and internet or immediate material print, music print, things like those. We just have to rely on a vinyl record, turn it back. So it was tough. Also, that time during the late, maybe mid 70s, late 70s, lots of musicians then, and those were the years, the decade that everything was there. During the 70s, there's the rock, there's the pop, there's the jazz, there's the disco, there's the soul, there's the Motown. Everything was there. So you could bump into different kinds of musician, different kinds of attitude, different kinds of managers, situation, awkward situation, good situation. You just have to know how to handle it right, and that's it.
Awesome.
It's tough. Yeah, I tell you, it's not easy. It's tough, and you have to be one of the best all the time, whether it's a small gig, whether it's a big gig, whether it's free, whether it's paid gig. You just have to be doing your best all the time, because your next gig depends on your last gig.
Yeah. You're only as good as your last gig.
Yeah.
I think that's very true. Yeah, absolutely. And how did your type of hustle maybe change as your career progressed? Maybe like as you started becoming a little bit more known in your circle and in different bands and playing sessions, how did maybe that change a little bit on what you were playing? Like maybe you went for certain groups that had more connections and possible potential in your mind, or how might you have adjusted your hustle, or was it even the same?
Yes.
I don't know.
First, I would say you gain more respect the more you're more experienced, the more you're into the scene, the more you are into different band before your latest band. So you're more comfortable, and your hassle become lesser and lesser. I would say. Why? Because people begin to they trust you more, because you have a pile of experience. You have been playing with soul, jazz, disco, rock musician. It's like you're well trained for a quick change of situation. So that's
I see.
makes it very vital to an artist, a musician, whatever, that you're flexible, and at the same time you are willing to use it.
Right.
So you get that respect, and at the same time, things get to be more agreeable all the time. So, like what I need now, so I'm not comfortable with this. People would listen to you more, rather than compared to before that you were just starting.
Right.
People they kind of have to think it over before. Oh, is this the right guy we're getting, or somewhat like that?
Right, right. So also you can play more of a role as a session drummer
Yes.
in choosing the direction of the music you're
Yes.
playing in.
Very
Okay.
important.
Yeah, that's exciting. And also, like, I guess as you were growing, like you were saying, as you gain more experience and as you're more respected around your circle, then that becomes very valuable on your different input. And I've played with you a number of times, and one of the best things that I love playing with Howie is he always seems to have the exact right beat for the song the first time he plays the drums. A lot of musicians I've played with, they always have their initial test for the song. You tell them the genre, and they come up with a beat, and then maybe they switch up their their beat later on. But I've been playing with this guy a number of times for different gigs, and the first time in rehearsal is almost always the same beat he plays on the bandstand. So it's a really great thing to play with Howie. And, he almost doesn't need to show up to practices because he knows how all this music is working.
Thank you for that, Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
And next question here, just taking a look. So, how did your music evolve as your career progressed? Like maybe you started in one genre of music and were playing around with different music, or was it all different styles at once, or was there a focus? Can you maybe give us some insight into that?
Yes. During 70s, you listen to what's on the radio all the time. That's the first thing. What's the top 40 hit right away? People get into that. So right away, your ears is into that. Then from there, quick change. That time, quick change. Every month you have new song. Every month you have new artists coming up. Artists, good artists, up and coming artists, new style of music, like let's say the Bee Gees, Led Zeppelin, from the rock point of view. Then from the soul, you got these Motown people, the Temptation, all this stuff. So you kind of balance it. You need to because you don't know your next call would be that kind of gig. So it's always, yes, during that time, it involves like you always have to hug everything. You need to adapt to everything. It's not, you just can't concentrate on one style or concentrate on one band because you get calls from different band that play different genre of music.
Right. So you're always updating your repertoire and always ready to play more awesome styles of music for each type of gig.
Exactly.
I
Even if I'm playing with a soul band, but I'm still researching on what's coming up next on the next album of this band. Like for example, the Deep Purple, Black Sabbath.
Right. So you're following like all the most requested hits.
Yes.
So then when somebody says, "Hey, when you're on the bandstand, can you play this song?" Then you absolutely, I'd love to play that song.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you become the greatest band ever.
And besides, you will love it. Once a good song is always a good song. Let's say whether it's rock, reggae, jazz, disco. When it's a good song that playing in the radio.
Right.
Once first time you hear it, then you wanna learn that song, and maybe someday I love to play this song.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's not only fun, but really useful.
Yes, yes. And always you learn something from that song.
Yeah. I think that would be very, very true.
Yes, every song has something to offer.
Yeah.
You just have to microscope it.
Yes.
Even the sound.
Yeah.
Even the sound.
Yeah,
because different recording has different ingredients of sound that they wanted. The producer, the musical director, so they want it perfect. They want it to be different from the previous one or from the others.
Right. And what has been your experience with working with different producers and all this sort of thing? Like, has there been certain things that you've really enjoyed about certain types of producers or projects, or like what type of projects would you aim to go into that you knew you would enjoy the most?
I think movie scores are good and good experience too. Then that I've done that before. It gives you not only the idea of recordings or playing your instrument. It's more how your art and the way you want it to be interpreted in a situation, in a score or in a film, and it's more of like precision at the same time, the right sound. So between that two things, precision and a right sound, is so hard. But once you get the two things right, it's almost done.
Right. Yeah. Like the exact right music for that scene.
Yes, or the right sound for that.
Yes, true. Yeah, I guess you could have exactly the right notes and exactly the right rhythms, but you want the same the exact groove you're looking for and the tone.
Yes. One more thing is the other thing. Sorry, the other thing is being called for a recording session that's not a cover, not for someone to use a recording. It's a fresh composition from someone that's very, very interesting because you were given the chance and you are their choice to input them.
Right.
And share with them your talent. They trust you, they choose you, they wanted you to be the guy to color their music.
Yeah, true.
So that's very challenging. To me, those two are very important because these two types of experience give you big growth.
Yeah. So like playing in the variety bands and playing with different dance bands and show bands and all this sort of thing, and then also taking a step back and really getting into like the studio work and like film music and different sessions, so that when you go in with a dance band or something like that, then you're able to provide the exact colors and tone,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
just make that music really shine and bring
Yes.
out what the composer or the
Yes.
writer is looking to express.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because all the time, these artists that compose songs, write all the lyrics, everything, they want the sound or the title of that piece of song be sensible with the sound that you can create, and when it all mixed together, it has to make sense.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And as a musician, it's not guaranteed you're successful, of course. However, you will have amazing experiences that you can't really get in other careers. What is one experience that maybe you can share that you've had throughout your career, or just maybe one moment in particular that you thought was pretty crazy that could be fun to share?
Yeah, for for this up and coming musician, my advice is just keep on finding those first finding those inspiration. Then finding those inspiration will keep you going.
Yeah.
Whether you made the right choice or the wrong choice, or maybe you hit it big time, or not that fast being there right away.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay then. It's okay, because everybody made mistakes, so from your mistake you learn the right thing.
Right.
So being for quite some times in this music industry, amazing things, they come, they go. Sometimes project were amazing. Sometimes projects are not that good. You just have to look at it positively then, because
Yeah.
whatever happened in any performance, in any gig, any tour, in any band, among band members, it's all part of experience, and that experience need to be kept, because it might be, your most powerful point next time, and you should know how to handle those situations
Right.
again and again.
Yeah. Growing as a musician
Yeah.
and through like the ups and downs and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I remember one story you told me that was pretty crazy, about one of maybe the crazy up times. You were telling me that you were playing in the Middle East, and you played one show in particular, and Howie mentioned that there was one guy who had a considerable backing. I think he had an assistant or something like that, carrying around 2 bags of just cash, and after the show, this individual came up to Howie and to the band and asked if they could play one of his favorite songs. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I just really thought this was cool and I wanted to share it. And then they played the song, and this individual said, "Wow, you guys are great. I'd really like to hang out with you guys after." And so then after their show, they came down and they were hanging out with this individual and a couple of his friends. And it was Howie's birthday on that day.
Yeah.
And so then this individual, he got his assistant, and he said, "Here, bring me those bags there." And out of the bags, he took out big lumps of cash, and he was taking hundreds, and he stapled them together in a circle and a necklace, and put them around Howie's head.
Crown you, like you're being crowned.
So I thought that was pretty crazy, and I wanted to share that because although Howie definitely does want to give us definitely down to like the what's real and how it can really help us up and coming musicians and people who are maybe hitting a bump in their career, or people who are just starting out in music. I think it's great to also see how many crazy things Howie has
Been
done
through.
and been through exactly, and that's just one of the hundreds that I've heard from Howie, actually. I just wanted to share that one.
Lots
in
of
particular.
stories, yes, lots of stories. Different places, different countries have different cultures, and when you were in that right time, right moment, you're gonna experience that kind of culture, and it was fun. So being a musician is always fun. Being an artist is always fun too, Dan, because you're one step ahead of everything most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, because artists are creative. We have a creative mind. We wanted all the time to be giving pleasure to listeners, people, people that enjoy music, people that enjoy that moment. People were there at that time, and they wanna share with you their time, so we share with them our time. So being an artist, that's very important.
For sure. Yes. And not only you're an artist as a musician, you actually went to art school.
Yes.
Right?
Man. Yes.
Yeah. So how maybe has your maybe some of the approach and the attitude towards I think mainly I've seen your paintings. Maybe you've done a lot of different types, but how is maybe like your painting or your writing, being an artist, that drawing and painting and all this sort of thing, how is that related and influenced your music?
Yes. Art, visual art and audio, they're two different things if you kind of wanted to see it, right? But inside of it, the logic is almost the same. Then why? Because you need to create color, you need to have mood for people to enjoy. Music has the same thing. You when you play something, it brings out the mood. That's why people always sometimes want to hear, oh, I like to hear that song because that song brings back that time and memory. Then,
right.
Yes, and when they were in that state of bringing back all these memories,
right,
that's 150%. You're very good. Then, so going back to art and paintings and music, both of them needs sharp. What do you call this?
Attention to details.
Yes, the details. It has to be beautiful. It has to be clean. Although it's art, let's say someone poured some paint into the wall, something. It's art, it comes out with the shape, lines, and color. But also it has to be judged by is this look nice, or is this thing? Yes, it was just incidental,
Right.
Yes,
right.
It's two different things. So, like for example, in music, we played it, we recorded it, but we still need to listen to it and judge it. Like, oh, is this the right thing for that part, or is this nice to be part of the song, or should we just take away this part? So that's very important then. And between the two, it's almost the same. It's
right.
the same kind of judgment, the same kind of balance we need to. Every musician.
So sort of like your artistic intuition.
Yes.
And making the right choice for the song.
Yes.
For expressing yourself.
Yes.
Visually or through your music.
Yes.
And yeah, that's
Bottom
really
line,
great.
the bottom line, in addition to that, your contribution.
Yeah.
Very important. Yes. Every musician, every visual artist has to have some contribution.
Right, right. And I guess that could be the reason, and for a lot of artists and for yourself, to continually keep getting called back to
Yes.
each project is because of your contributing and your artistic intuition.
Yes.
And just, I think as well, one thing I've found really valuable playing with you is that when we work in projects, Howie always works as if every person in the project is an artistic director. And that's really great because maybe even if somebody's a newer musician, they can really start to develop their artistic intuition and develop their experience and try out their ideas. Because a lot of the time, it's really good to try every single idea and then see which one fits the best with the
Yes.
music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly, Dan. You've said it right, Dan. And also, without trying it, you won't know, right? So during rehearsal, do everything, try everything, because that's the perfect time for you to cook something else. But when it's done and guys, all the members in the band are decided that this is the thing we do, just keep on playing it the same way for quite some time.
For sure.
Then that kind of arrangement, that kind of sound will evolve. It doesn't stop there. So once you play it, let's say for 6 months, then something will come up, and this is something new. I think we can do this way. Same thing as you've been watching, hearing this band from way before. This is their recording. Then after 2-3 years, they have this live DVD concert from Amsterdam, from whatever. Then you could tell, why it's different from that one, because they have already evolved that, and they want it. Yeah, and they still searching for the right arrangement. They don't stop. They just wanted to keep it interesting all the time. So even if you watch them 5 times, it's gonna be different in that 5 different performances.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess like using the food metaphor, when you have a certain dish, then you start adding the different spices, maybe some, different vegetables, all that,
Yes.
and then the meat, what makes the body of the dish.
Yes.
But then each time you're performing is like creating that dish again. You can add different spices.
Yes.
You can add, maybe put in something special, and people say, "Oh wow, what's this new thing that you're putting in?" Or I really like that particular version. Because as an artist, it's really great to bring in everything you're learning as you go.
Yes, exactly.
We don't live in boxes,
Yes, yes.
Everything influences.
Yes, and nothing is definitely wrong. It's just a matter of when someone bringing something else into this song, for example, in a song, if the other guy adjusts, this thing will be right. Even if it's wrong, okay, it's just a matter of adjustment.
Right.
So you get my point, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like a great artist, great musician are saying, there's no wrong notes, there's no right notes because of that. It's because of that. Yeah. If they're with the right adjustment to one another, you'll sound great.
Yeah. And then also now, I think from what I've seen and what I've been getting advice from different musicians, is now music, a lot of it is very precise, and maybe music has progressed in approach of recording and of songwriting from the time when you started playing music and to today. Today October 2016,
Yeah.
right? So, what did you mainly see in music maybe around when you were beginning to play, and what has been the biggest change now?
Yes. Now it's like music is going to a stage of whose song get into the top chart the fastest, or who's in the top chart next month, and who created the hit song right away for next few months to replace the last
Right,
hit song.
like engineering from the last
Yes,
song,
yes.
and then just adding one more spice to try and
Yes.
one up.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
Not really that much of creating new melody, new harmony, or getting materials from different places, or
Right.
it's more digital. Music now is more like it's more precise, of course, and it's easier, faster to do,
Right.
but it's between two things, like the old way of doing things and the new way of doing
Right.
things. They all have their advantages and disadvantages, so it's better to have it half of this and half of that would be the best. Because
Right.
yes, because in our vocabulary of dealing with music, it's the raw thing has to come from the human.
Right.
Yes, and the raw product you put into a machine, and then let the machine clean it up.
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
the ideas, everything, the right instrument, the right sound should come from
Right.
the person.
For sure.
Yeah, so
For sure.
it's better. My advice is to have half of this and half of that, not purely 100% all
Right.
done in the keyboard or all done. It would sound
Right.
boring.
Yeah.
You can make a good hit at first, but when your second, third song come, they're not gonna buy that anymore, because
They're gonna sound the same.
They all sound the same.
Yeah, I see. So like adding some human element to
Yeah.
the recordings,
Yes, human
and
touch.
like it's very good to have maybe a precise thing for modern hits. However, to move it forward as well, it's really about getting something organic and human,
Yes.
and building something that's exciting and
Yes.
maybe that somebody hasn't quite heard before,
Yes.
a new sound or something like that.
Yes.
And one thing I've been learning, talking to a lot of different musicians who've played through each era, is that when music was played in maybe 70s, 80s, this sort of thing, it was I guess like the technology was a lot different. For example, the power of amplifiers. So like even like Woodstock, for example, they had like massive amplifiers that they were trying to show off the power of technology at that time and just play super loud, and that was part of the art and pushing the new sound. And now today, one small amplifier can pretty much like pack the same punch as maybe like 4 or 5 amps.
Yes.
So just sort of like going from playing really loud and making that as one of the major new ways to express yourself and new human ways of doing something. I guess now maybe the newer sort of music and today's era, with all of our technology, we can just play one MIDI input and then boost up the signal, and then play it on one amp this loud, and it'll explode someone's eardrums.
Yes.
So how do you feel music before maybe has progressed to today, and like what parts do you really like about where it's going, and maybe what parts did you learn a lot from where it was before?
I would say coming from the loud sound that musician do before, like you were saying, Woodstock and all those kind of open air concert before, that was very popular during those times. Nowadays they kind of like micro everything, but everything is well distributed. So from big bulk of sound that everybody was going to be the front sound, meaning, oh, I want to be the loudest. The other guy wanted to be the loudest. They were trying to outbox each other. But now it's kind of like, well, we don't have to argue. We don't have to step on each other's sound. We just need to make it clear and well distributed, and so everybody can be heard, and that would be the perfect sound that people were looking for after all those years, from those years.
Right. So like the sound, rather than having blasting from the front from where all the amplifiers are, to have an evenly distributed sound that is equally as good as it is on stage,
And
to be on for each member in the audience.
Yes.
Okay.
So everybody will be heard, and everyone can can put in a little thing here and there.
Yeah. Also, like playing with you and doing different rehearsals for different functions, projects, events. One thing I've found very interesting is that when we're rehearsing, a lot of the time we're playing, just at like speaking volume. So then we can really listen to each other and get a good sense of the sound. And then when we play on stage, actually, the sound is not that much louder. Just the way we put the signal up throughout the full venue is to make it fully distributed and to make it sound really as if we were playing it nicely in like a living room, or maybe a loud living room, but still a living room.
Yes.
And so for that sort of thing, I just wanted to share that, and I think that's quite cool. Like, what do you think would be really the biggest value about, rather than playing like really loud in rehearsal, to maybe tone it down a bit and listen? Like, what would you recommend and think the value is to share to some of our up and coming?
Yes, most of the time when I was let's say us, we sometimes we play, we rehearse, we jam. I would always suggest that during rehearsal, that means we need to see if this arrangement is right, the chord, the harmony, is this rhythm right? So if you're loud, it's so hard for each one to hear what is right and what is wrong, because one is over the other, right? So sometimes even the singers cannot express, because guitar is too loud, drums is too loud, bass is too, everything could be too loud, right? It all depends on the arrangement of the placement of the instrument, and also the right monitor, right touch for the musician, the right tone of the instrument. That's quite important, because during rehearsal, the main point, the main objective is to get the arrangement right. Is this the right harmony? Are we playing on time? So everybody needs to listen to everyone, and that's the main point of a rehearsal. It's not a performance yet, but it's actually a performance, but it's not to give all. It's just for you to see whether it's good or it's not good. So when it's done, when everybody decided that this is good, so it stays that way. So during a live performance in a bar, in a concert, whatever, the real performance, you just give more accent to it, meaning more accent, more distinct, more clear. So if you let's say if you put break, you just have to emphasize is that the break, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, and the sound man, the sound technician, that guy can take care.
Right. Of blending it.
Yes, and the rest will be his job because he will just amplify it. You see?
Right.
So if you are thinking of the old ways, like, oh, I need, because those people at the back can't hear me, I have to crank my amp, it's not good because it's gonna bother the rest of the musician because
Right.
you have rehearsed that this is supposed to be our sound and we can hear each other all the time. So the whole sound will just be brought out the same
Right.
way.
Yeah.
It's only a bit louder. We
So,
don't have to
yeah.
crank it. So that's why they call it monitor. It's just our monitor at the back, and that's it.
So like making a really clean sound and
Yeah.
focusing on the blending
Yeah.
rather than trying to show off one person's skill in particular.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Not only from my idea, it was actually, I've experienced this actually from watching different famous band, and I was behind the stage, and I was wondering why it's like their rehearsal, but when I take a peep on the side,
Yeah.
it was performing.
Yeah.
But when you're on top of the let's say the third level of being an audience, on third level, you could
Yeah.
hear the concert type of thing.
Yes.
But when you're at the backstage, it's like they were rehearsing, so everything is clear. And the equipment, of course, Dan was placed right
Right.
with a good technician,
Yeah.
good board and everything. They distributed the monitor right so everybody can hear everything. They don't have to argue with each other.
Right. Right. Yes.
No
Makes
argument.
sense.
And precise too, because once you can hear each other, everything will be precise.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not, it's like you're guessing, right? You're guessing. Did Dan say this? I didn't hear that. Right? Next time. Okay. Oh, next round. I want to hear that in the next round. Right? Something like those.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
create an idle kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And once you getting to be a pro, you don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Yeah. So I guess like the musician's job as an individual is to really clean up their sound, get the right tone for the song, and bring out what they want to express in as a music director themselves, even if they're working for someone's project.
Yes.
Because that person chooses them to come and work in that project. So they
Yes.
want their input. And then as a group, really focusing on blending and you working as a unit and bringing out the sound as a whole. And then in a performance, really just keeping that same blend and then, adding a little bit of stage moves.
Yeah, exactly right. Then yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
As,
Yeah.
as usual, I'm gonna add this. As usual as you were doing in your rehearsal studio, rehearsing time.
Yeah.
Bring that mood into your concert stage, and
Right.
just let the technician amplify it. That would be the best.
Right.
So
right.
it's like the usual thing you do
Yeah.
every day. You look pro, you look relaxed, and it's effortless looking, and that's the main point of
For sure.
entertainment.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Being relaxed
Yeah,
and entertaining.
That's entertaining. Yes.
If it's all serious, what's the what's the
Yeah.
fun?
Yes. And
There to
people
make
watching
people smile.
they're they're working too hard. It seems very hard for them.
Yeah.
Not good.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, with I guess like wrapping up the interview a little bit, with what approach would you recommend up and coming students to look at music and to maybe approach bands or their own music or their own writing or playing in films, playing on stage, off stage? What might you recommend for an attitude that might help them along their journey?
Yes, several done, several. Starting from the bottom, let's say, beginning of learning an instrument.
Yeah.
First, you need to be in touch with that instrument that you wanted to learn every day. At least give it 2 3 hours, whatever time you were available in a day. You need to have that contact with that instrument. So that's the first stage.
Right.
Second, for those people who are already playing, or maybe having they already have rehearsals in their band or whatever, it's to keep on gathering information from different music, from different artists, discover old and new recordings, because from 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, there is a lot done. But sometimes artists nowadays, they don't bother to look
Right.
and try to
Where music came from.
yes,
Yeah.
and they're not familiar with those recordings. They just need to go back and look for it.
Right.
Why? Because that would help, and it also brings you inspiration. Then
Yeah.
yes, and for those people that were already gigging and wanted to improve their music, you just always have to have inspiration and discipline in like I was talking with Dan a few days before. I remember saying, Dan, you need to all of us need to be classically trained, not
Yeah.
really playing classical music, right? Like
Yeah.
from Bach or
Yeah.
Chopin. No, not that. Classically trained is like we have to be like classic people. Like to learn something, you just have to do it again and again. Why? Because you wanted to improve that sound.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
just wanted to improve that sound. It's not really a machine like copying. No, that is not my point. The point is you just need to create the best sound of that instrument, or of that chops, or best sound of that roll in drums, or whatever instrument you have. It's all related, then you just have to every day you just have to go around with all those things. Then you will notice that every day, after a month, after a year, you will sound different. Then your sound is more fine, your sound will be more appreciated, and you get more control, like a volume control. You can control it with your hand,
Right.
even if it's raw, even it's the finger picking, everything. It developed then into a more precise and produce a more musical sound.
Right.
The way.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, so that would always be part of a musician's daily thing. Then
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Part
Okay.
of their ritual.
Yes, ritual.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Howie. I
You're
really appreciate
welcome,
you coming
Dan.
out.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Dan.
Thanks for spending
Yeah.
some time,
Yeah.
jumping out from behind the drum kit to share some secrets.
There is no secret. It's just hard work.
Yeah. Okay. It's good to know. It's good to know.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you. Folks.
thanks everyone. Yes, thank you. You can say thank you, Howie.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah, thanks for to coming, Howie, again, and I'm really glad. I learned a lot of cool things. I played with Howie for a number of gigs, and it's always special when get to ask him new questions and really dig in. And I learned some things I had no idea today. So I'm really excited that I'm growing as a musician, and I hope you guys can take away as much as I did today. Thank you.